Hello, my beautiful friends. In our last video, we questioned why Jamaicans who were removed from the USA chose to stay in Africa rather than return to Jamaica, even at the behest of their government. Today, we look at the other side of the Atlantic, where a single mistake from nearly a decade ago could strip a Jamaican man of his entire life, his children, and his freedom overnight. This is the story of Mark Nelson, and this is the story of an aggressive system changing what it means to be part of the Caribbean diaspora in Britain today. Now, to understand the outrage exploding right now across legal, human rights, and diaspora communities, you have to understand who Mark Nelson actually is. Born in Jamaica and raised by his great-grandparents in St. Ann, Mark was left with no safety net when both of his great-grandparents passed away when he was just 16. Left to survive on his own for 4 years, Mark made the decision in 2000, at 21 years old, to travel to the UK to join his family. Nothing wrong with that. He went to college, qualified as a car mechanic, worked for 11 years, paid his taxes, and eventually built his own independent mechanic business while raising 5 British-born children alongside his British partner. He has no home left in Kingston, no property on the island, and no immediate family network left in Jamaica. Then came 2017. He was facing severe financial turmoil during a business downturn. And out of that, Mark made a desperate error in judgment and got involved in cultivating cannabis plants to cover some of his losses. He was arrested, owned his actions, served 2 full years behind bars, paid his debt to the society, to the justice system, and returned home to his family in 2019 and never committed another offense. Now, in any civilized society, serving your court-ordered time and spending nearly a decade proving complete rehabilitation makes you a changed member of society. But under British immigration law, serving prison time seems merely to be phase 1. For years, Mark wore a GPS electronic monitor and walked into a Home Office immigration center every single week like clockwork to report as he was told to do. Then, during a routine check-in, immigration officers surrounded him, placed him under arrest, and locked him in a holding cell without warning. Sounds very familiar, isn't it? Today, he remains detained at an immigration removal center near Heathrow Airport, facing active deportation proceedings to Jamaica. He remains locked inside what he described as a hot, filthy cell in an immigration removal center, suffering severe mental distress and being forced onto antidepressant medication for the first time in his life. While his legal team and family launched desperate last-ditch appeals to halt his expulsion to Jamaica. Now, imagine being an 8-year-old child in London, watching your father go to a routine government meeting, only to be told he's been loaded onto a charter flight and banished forever because of a mistake he already served time for over a decade ago. The Home Office in Britain is moving with cold efficiency as part of a new legislative crackdown targeting what I read as Article 8, which is family rights under the European Convention on Human Rights. And what they're doing is using long-term residents with past convictions to boost deportation statistics. Very political, if you ask me. Now, the outrage across diaspora groups and legal experts is deafening, calling out a system, or what I should say, calling out a systemic double standard, where a British citizen who commits a crime serves their time and moves on. But a Jamaican man is subjected to double punishment through perpetual exile. What I find is that when the UK needs Caribbean labor, the diaspora is welcomed. But the moment political expediency, because this is not justice, this is expediency, calls for harsh deportation numbers, a man who gave 26 years of his life to Great Britain is simply discarded. Now, Martin Elsie is not a threat to society. He's a father trying to raise his children, and as his family fights for his release, we have to ask ourselves whether this is genuine justice or state-sanctioned cruelty, like we have seen elsewhere. And so, my friends, I want to put this question to you, my erudite viewers and subscribers. When a person serves their full court-mandated sentence, proves complete rehabilitation over nearly a decade, and has 5 British children relying on them, should they be protected from banishment? Or do you believe foreign national status should always override family ties, no matter how long someone has lived abroad? In other words, is there no place for redemption? I'm just asking the questions. Drop your thoughts below. Let's keep the debate respectful and grounded in facts. I'm only asking the questions. Until next time, my beautiful friends, remember, out of many, one people, one nation, one Jamaica, under God. Jamaica, land we love. See you next time.
Jamaica, here we call. One people, one nation. Standing tall. Under God. Strong and free. Jamaica, the land we love.